The Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on the Pixel 9 series will go a long way toward keeping your phone safe, but if you really want it to go the distance, you're going to need to slap a case on it. The good news here is that you're absolutely spoiled for choice. I've tested many of the cases available in the launch window, and today I'm going to tell you about the 10 very best cases you can currently buy. Before we get started, note that the Pixel 9 and 9 Pro are exactly the same size, so most cases are cross-compatible. However, the wireless charging modules are in slightly different places. That means that if you buy a case with magnets in it, you'll need to get the right model for optimal speeds. Starting thin, we have the official Google Pixel 9 case. Without a doubt, it's one of the most beautiful cases on the market, with a super soft silicone finish that feels amazing in hand. The colors are also on point, and a very subtle taper around the camera bar is a really nice detail. It sits just higher than the camera bar itself, which should help keep the enclosure safe. The lip around the screen, on the other hand, is just barely higher than the OLED panel, so I'd recommend using a screen protector with this one. Apart from that, it's just a very premium feeling case. I love the buttons, which are nice and clicky and match the aesthetic very nicely. As for the build, it has a rigid polycarbonate underneath the silicone, but don't expect too much in the way of protection. I was also slightly disappointed to see no integrated magnets, which would have made it a much better value at this price. If that's what you're after, check out the Mous Super Thin, which is a very similar case that does have magnets, but costs a bit more and protects a bit less. It wouldn't be a case list without Spigen, and my favorite of this year's lineup is the Liquid Air. This case regularly makes our top 10, but this edition won me over with something unexpected: a new gray colorway. Typically, the Liquid Air is only available in dark colorways like black, abyss green, and a darker purple. While it doesn't sound super sexy, this new gray is really sleek and classy. The rest of the case is similar to the previous editions that we all know and love. It's a thin, flexible TPU case with a nice textured back. I like that the grooves on the back aren't too deep, so it's easy to keep clean. There are some grippy textures on the sides, but overall it's still a little slippery. If you don't mind a little extra thickness, the Caseology Parallax is a good alternative with more textures to grip onto. Both are very affordable and offer above average protection. Speaking of affordable, the Ringke Onyx is an absolute budget hero. It's nothing revolutionary, but it nails the basics in a way you won't find in other budget cases. It's a thin and light TPU case, but the checklist of extras is what puts it over the top. It's got a nice grippy texture down the sides, clicky buttons with a little bump for the power button, lanyard holes on both sides, and a lower screen lip in the middle to make it easier to use swipe gestures. It's also the only case I've tested with a fully covered camera bump. The bump still maintains the same look though, so you still know you're looking at a Pixel 9 series phone. The Ringke Onyx is quite cheap, but if you don't mind spending a bit more, there's also a version with integrated magnets. If you want a slightly more stylish case with magnets, the Mous Limitless is the one I'd recommend. It both feels and looks amazing, with a variety of choices for backing materials to suit your style. It is a premium case, but it really does have it all. The buttons feel amazing, and the grip strips on the sides are subtle but effective. Like the previous case, the screen lip is slightly lower in the middle of the screen, so swipe gestures are a breeze. Obviously, the magnets are the big feature here though, and they unlock a huge variety of accessories like mounts, wallets, and more. It feels slightly thicker in the hand, but the hybrid build is a lot more resistant than any of the cases listed so far. The air shock material on the sides is very rigid, and although it isn't exactly a rugged case, it will keep your Pixel 9 safe. By far the most elegant case you can get for the Pixel 9 is the Bellroy Leather case. It definitely delivers on aesthetics, but the tactile feel of the leather is really the X factor here. The super gentle tapering on the camera bar is just the icing on the cake. I tested the version for the Pixel 9, which does not have magnets, but the versions for the Pixel 9 Pro and 9 Pro XL do include magnets. They're all available in different colors, but for me, the classic terracotta look is the real winner. There was one thing I didn't like about this case, and that's the buttons. They look great, but they're incredibly stiff. I'm not sure whether they'll soften over time, but I suspect it has to do with the layer of leather underneath. Still, if you're willing to sacrifice a little comfort for style, the premium pricing of the Bellroy Leather is definitely worth it. The dbrand grip case offers a different kind of premium style with a huge variety of premium skins to choose from. It's worth noting that the skins you see here are early samples without the sticker for the camera bump, but honestly, I think it looks better with a naked camera. The curvy camera design does mean that the skin is large and somewhat difficult to install. My years of experience with Lego stickers failed me here, but hopefully you'll do better. As for the case itself, it's very premium. The titular feature here is the extremely grippy microdot texture on the sides. It's It's slightly abrasive, but combined with the glossy strips where your hand rests, you'll be hard-pressed to drop it. Another nicety is the inclusion of magnets in the back. The smooth backing gives a nice strong connection, although it will wear down your skin over time. Thankfully, it's easy to take the skin off and install a new one for a fresh new look. One more nice detail is the slightly raised edges around the camera bar. Instead of a lip around the bar itself, the edges give the same effect in a much more subtle way. The case is fairly expensive though, as are the skins themselves, but considering the quality and ability to swap skins over time, it's still a great value. The Caseology Athlex was probably one of the biggest surprises for me while testing Pixel 9 cases. Like the grip case, it has a super grippy texture all around the sides, but it's roughly 1/3 the price. But price isn't all that it has going for it. I really like the simple design of the back, which adds just enough texture and interest to make it stand out from the rest. And while I like the grippy texture on the sides, I absolutely love the buttons. All Caseology cases for the Pixel 9 have these little pill-like buttons that are smooth and satisfying to use. All of the other cases I tested have boxy buttons with pronounced edges, so oddly, this cheap case felt more premium than the others in this very specific way. The grippy texture definitely doesn't feel as premium though, so if it's too much for you, I'd also recommend the Caseology Nanopop. It's more minimalistic, but it has the same great buttons and a more subdued grip strip where your hands rest on the side. As far as clear cases go, the Spigen Ultra Hybrid is always a top choice. It offers great value for the price, with everything you could really need from a clear case. It's a hybrid build with a polycarbonate plate in the back, which makes it more solid and protective than simple TPU cases. I'm particularly fond of the 01 edition shown here, which has the internals of the Pixel 9 printed on the back. This not only looks cool, but it also prevents fingerprints, which are always the weak point of any clear case. It's a bit more expensive than the standard clear version, but it's definitely worth it. There's also a version with MagSafe magnets built in the back, but it's only available on the fully clear version. I really wish the magnets were available in other colorways, especially the 01 edition, but magnetic accessories are still fairly niche, so it might not bother you. For more interesting patterns, check out the Cyril Ultra Sheer. Cyril is a sub-brand of Spigen, but the sides have a nice frosted micro dot pattern that both adds grip and prevents fingerprints. The patterns themselves are far more feminine, with some really nice options. If what you're after is printed patterns, Casetify is the brand to beat. It offers cases with literally hundreds of printed patterns to choose from. The case I have here is the Impact case, which hits a nice balance between protection and thickness. The sample case I have is the clear version, so you can see the magnets in the back. The magnets are obviously very useful, but I wouldn't recommend getting the clear version with so many patterns on offer. This clear version collects fingerprints and scratches very easily, and if you're paying this much, you should get something more interesting. I will say that despite how thin the case is, it's very protective. It's extremely rigid, and the EcoShock material on the sides feels very sturdy. I'm not a big fan of the glossy finish on the sides, but the fact that it's made of recycled materials might help justify the price for eco-conscious buyers. My last pick is another staple, and it's the Otterbox Defender series. This case is an absolute tank, with a super bulky build that feels like it could be used as a home defense device in a pinch. While it's super protective, it's a bit of a nightmare to actually install. There's a rigid frame inside the rubbery exterior that opens into two separate parts. These then snap onto your phone, and the thick cover snaps onto that. It's not overly complicated, but this isn't the kind of case you can pop on and off whenever you want. However, this case is built to take a beating. It's by far the most rugged case I tested, and there isn't a better case if you need ultimate protection. It's got fully covered buttons and crazy thick bumpers to protect from the gnarliest of drops. There's also a port cover to prevent any dust or debris from getting into your charging port. All of these features are found on both the Otterbox Defender and Otterbox Defender Pro. There isn't much difference between the two, but the Pro model is only available on the official website, so you might miss out on some deals. If the Defender series is a bit too expensive, the Spigen Tough Armor is a good alternative. It's another bulky two-part case with covered buttons, but this time with a handy kickstand in the back. That's it for this initial list, but more Pixel 9 cases are coming out in the near future, so stay tuned for more reviews. Thanks for watching.